Welcome back. Today we are going to take a deep dive into a coin that nearly every American has held at some point in their life, the 1976 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is not a rare coin, it is not a coin you will retire on, but it is a coin with a story, a coin that connects us directly to a pivotal year in American history, and it is absolutely still found in circulation today. Let that sink in for a moment. You can still get a piece of 1976 from your pocket change. The host places the coin back on the table and pulls a small magnifying glass into view. So what are we looking at? First, the obverse, the front of the coin. This design featuring Abraham Lincoln was first introduced in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of his birth. The sculptor was Victor David Brenner. Look here below Lincoln's shoulder, you will see the initials VDB. They were added back to the coin in 1918 after being removed, and they have been there ever since. This design is a constant, a thread through the 20th century. The host flips the coin over again using the magnifying glass to point. Now the reverse is where the 1976 coin gets interesting. For this 1 year only, the coin carries a very important detail. Look at the space below the memorial. On a typical Lincoln cent from say 1975 you would see the mint mark, if there is one, a small D for Denver or S for San Francisco, or no mint mark for Philadelphia. But in 1976, to honor the bicentennial of the United States, something special happened. The host brings a second coin into frame, a 1975 cent. Here is a 1975 penny. Look at the reverse, the mint mark is to the right of the memorial. Now watch as I show the 1976 again. See the difference? The mint mark on the 1976 bicentennial cent is on the obverse right under the date. This was done deliberately to make room for a special bicentennial design element on the reverse. The camera zooms in tightly on the reverse of the 1976 cent, and here it is. Look at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. A good magnifier is needed for this. If you look very carefully between the central columns of the memorial, you can see a tiny figure. This is a representation of the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. This hidden detail was added to the coin design in 1959 when the reverse was changed from the wheat ears to the memorial, but in this bicentennial year that little statue felt especially symbolic. A tribute within a tribute. So let's talk numbers and value. You are waiting for that big reveal, and here it is. The vast majority of 1976 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent in circulated condition. We are talking about coins that have been in pockets and registers for nearly 50 years. They have scratches, they have lost their luster, they are worn. The mintage for this year was enormous. Philadelphia struck over 4,686,000,000 pennies. Denver struck over 4,221,000,000 pennies. San Francisco struck just over 290 million proof coins for collectors, but the business strike coins, the ones spent at the store, were made in the billions. The host holds up a very shiny, pristine penny. Now if you have a 1976 penny in absolutely perfect uncirculated condition, it might be worth a small premium to a collector, perhaps 25 to 50 cents for a standard Philadelphia or Denver coin. But you have to be honest, is it truly flawless? No bag marks, no contact with other coins. If it came from a bankroll it might be, but from circulation no. The host then holds up a distinctly red and shiny proof-like coin. The San Francisco minted coins marked with an S were proof coins sold in sets to collectors. These have mirror-like fields and frosted devices. If you find one of these in a collection it might be worth $1 or $2, but you will almost never find an S mint penny in your change. They were not intended for circulation, but here is the real value of this coin. Is not monetary, it is historical. 1976 was the year America turned 200. The country was awash in stars and stripes. Everything from soda bottles to quarter dollars got a special bicentennial design. The penny, the humble penny, got its own subtle change with the moved mint mark. It is a time capsule. When you hold a 1976 cent you are holding a coin that was brand new. During the bicentennial celebrations it was in circulation when Jimmy Carter was elected president. When Apple Computer Company was founded, this coin has been moving through the economy for decades, a silent witness. So what should you do? Check your change absolutely when you get a penny. Look at the date. If it is 1976, take a moment, look at the obverse, see the mint mark under the date. That is its bicentennial badge of honor. Then get a magnifier and try to spot that tiny statue on the memorial. It is a fun exercise. It connects you to the craft of coin design. Then spend it, save it, or drop it in a jar. But now you know its story. Value of the Liberty USA 1 cent coin from 1980, a coin that millions of people have touched but very few have truly looked at. Before we get into the details, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe, because we bring you daily videos that break down coin values, coin secrets, and amazing discoveries that could be sitting in your pocket right now. Now let's begin our journey with the 1980 Liberty USA 1 cent coin. The 1980 penny is part of the Lincoln Cent series, which started back in 1909. The coin is made from copper and it features the classic profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the front. The word Liberty sits on the left side and the date 1980 appears on the right. This coin may look simple, but it carries decades of history and millions of collectors worldwide still search for the perfect one. In 1980 the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, so a regular circulated penny from this year usually does not hold high collector value. Most circulated coins from 1980 are worth 1 cent in everyday use. However, collectors look for coins that have strong details, no wear, sharp lines and no damage, because those can be worth more than face value. Even though most circulated coins are common, some special conditions can increase value. For example, coins with mint errors such as double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks or missing elements can be worth more. Collectors love error coins because they are naturally rare. Another factor that affects value is the mint mark. Coins from the Philadelphia Mint in 1980 come with no mint mark, while coins from the Denver Mint carry a small letter D. Circulated 1980 pennies with heavy wear usually stay at 1 cent value, but lightly circulated coins with full sharp features can sometimes reach a few cents or even a bit more depending on demand. The real excitement comes when you find a coin in a mint error category, because these can machine doubling, a shadow effect with no extra value. But let's step back from the collector's guide for a moment. Let's talk about the metal. From 1962 to 1982, the penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Then, in 1982, the composition changed to mostly zinc with a copper plating. Our 1980 penny is a solid copper coin. That metal has intrinsic value. The melt value. As of this recording, the pure copper content in a pre-1982 penny is worth more than 2 cents. Nearly 2.5 cents. This creates a fascinating paradox. It is illegal to melt down US pennies for their metal, so its face value is 1 cent. Its metallic value is over 2 cents. But its transactional value, what you can actually get for it, is still 1 cent. This coin is legally worth less than the stuff it's made of. It's a small monument to inflation and changing economics. This brings us to the philosophical value. The circulated value. Not in dollars, but in meaning. This coin was made in 1980. It has been handled by thousands of people. It bought a gumball. It was part of the change for a newspaper. It was tossed in a wishing well and fished out. It's a tiny artifact of everyday American life. Over 4 decades, its value as an object is minimal. Its value as a token of exchange is the lowest the system allows. But its value as a witness? That's incalculable. Every scratch tells a story of motion, of economy, of small human transactions. In that sense, a circulated 1980 penny has more value than a pristine one still in its mint cellophane. The mint state coin has a price. The worn coin has a history. So what is the circulated value of a 1980 USA 1 cent piece, to a coin dealer? 1 cent. To a copper arbitrager, a forbidden 2.5 cents. To a date set collector, maybe 5 cents if it's brilliant and untouched. To someone putting together a coin album of the 80s, the satisfaction of filling a hole, and to the rest of us. It's a reminder. It's a reminder that value is never just one thing. First, you need to know there are 2 main types of 1981 pennies: the 1981 penny struck in the older 95% copper alloy and the 1981 penny struck in the newer copper-plated zinc alloy. The composition changed during the year to save on production costs because the price of copper was going up, so the mint made both types in 1981. How do you tell the difference? The easiest way is to weigh the coin. A copper 1981 penny will weigh about 3.11 grams. A zinc 1981 penny will weigh about 2.5 grams. You need a good scale to notice that difference. Another way is the sound. A copper penny has a more resonant ring to it when you drop it on a hard surface. A zinc penny has a duller thud. Now there are also 2 mint marks to consider: the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark and the Denver Mint with a D mint mark. So in total there are 4 possible coins: a 1981 no mint mark copper, a 1981 D copper, a 1981 no mint mark zinc, and a 1981 D zinc. So what are these worth in circulated condition? Meaning they have Been used in commerce. They show we're starting with the 1981 zinc pennies from both mints. These are the common ones. Billions were made. If you have a circulated 1981 zinc penny, whether it has a D or no mint mark, its value is exactly 1 cent. Its face value. There is no premium for these in worn condition. They are extremely common. You can still find them in your change every day, so no extra value there. Now the 1981 copper pennies are a little different. They are less common than the zinc ones, especially in higher grades, but we are talking about circulated examples. These have somewhere from being used in pockets and cash registers. For a circulated 1981 copper penny with no mint mark from Philadelphia, its value is still very low, maybe 1 to 2 cents, essentially face value, maybe a tiny premium because of the copper content, but you have to remember it is illegal to melt pennies for their metal, so that doesn't really affect the circulating value. They are still common in circulation, though harder to find than the zinc ones. For a circulated 1981 D copper penny, the Denver Mint version, it is the same story, worth about 1 to 2 cents in typical circulated condition like you might find in an old jar of coins. So the big takeaway here is that number 1981 penny in typical circulated condition is worth a lot of money. None of them are rare in that state. Even the copper ones, while interesting, are not valuable in worn grades. The value for 1981 pennies comes in uncirculated condition, especially for the copper versions, and even more so for examples with full details like the full steps on the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but that's a topic for another video about uncirculated coins. Still just a circulated penny. Its value to a collector might be 5 cents or 10 cents if they need it to fill a folder. But that is not its circulate value. That is a niche collector premium. You cannot walk into a store and get 10 cents for it. Its circulate value remains 1 cent. This brings us to the concept of hoarding. You might think, okay, it's illegal to melt them, but I'll just save them all, wait for the law to change and then cash in. This is a common thought. And yes, many people including myself have jars of pre-1982 copper cents. But hoarding does not change the circulate value. It is a private bet on a future policy shift. That hoarded coin's legal tender value is still and will always be 1 cent unless Congress acts. You are essentially storing 1 cent pieces that are expensive to store. The metal value is a potential future bonus, not a present reality. So the 1981 Lincoln cent is a beautiful paradox. It is a coin whose material wants to be worth more but whose function and legality strictly forbid it. Its circulate value is a decree. It is a monument to the concept of fiat currency, value assigned by law and collective agreement, not by the substance of the object itself. In your hand you hold a piece of copper that the market says has commodity value. But in the marketplace it is just a penny. 1 cent. No more. So next time you get one in change, take a look at it. Appreciate its weight, its last of an era copper composition. Remember the 12 billion others that came with it. And understand that its value as money is rigidly defined separate from what it's made of. Its circulate value is 1 cent. Not a penny more, not a penny less.